Apple TV has a strange situation right now. The software is becoming smarter, but the box itself is starting to feel old. tvOS 26.5 looks like a small update, but the full tvOS 26 update cycle brought some useful changes that many users missed. There is a hidden audio setting that can reduce Dolby Atmos drops. Your iPhone can work like a karaoke mic. The Apple TV app can now suggest shows based on your mood, and AirPlay 2 speakers can stay connected as your main audio output. But the real question is this: is Apple preparing Apple TV for a bigger tvOS 27 and a new Apple TV 4K, or is this still the same old streaming box with better software? Let's break it down. First, tvOS 26.5. This is not a big feature update. There is no new design change. There is no new Apple TV hardware, and there is no full Apple Intelligence experience, yet tvOS 26.5 is mainly focused on stability, performance, and small fixes. But this update matters because of everything Apple added during the full tvOS 26 cycle. tvOS 26, 26.2, and 26.4 quietly made Apple TV more useful. And one of the most useful changes is Genius Browse. Genius Browse helps you find something to watch faster. This matters because streaming has a real problem. There is too much content. You open the Apple TV app, you scroll, you check your watch list, you open another app, then you still do not know what to watch. Genius Browse tries to fix this. Instead of basic categories like action, drama, or comedy, Apple now gives you mood-based groups. You may see options like good for a date night, based on a book, tense psychological thrillers, bittersweet family dramas, thrilling blockbusters. This makes browsing feel more useful because people often choose content by mood, not only by genre. Sometimes you want something serious. Sometimes you want something light. Sometimes you want something easy to watch with family. Genius Browse helps with that. But it still has one big problem. Netflix is not included. Apple TV can suggest content from supported apps like Apple TV+, Prime Video, Max, Disney+, Peacock, and others. But Netflix still does not fully work inside the Apple TV app. So Genius Browse is useful, but it is not complete yet. Now let's talk about a quiet but important fix: continuous audio connection. This feature is important for people who use soundbars, Sonos speakers, AV receivers, or Dolby Atmos systems. Before this, Apple TV could sometimes create audio problems. You would watch a Dolby Atmos movie, then switch to a normal show, then open another app, and the sound could pop, delay, drop volume, or disconnect for a moment. It was not always a huge issue, but it was annoying. tvOS 26.4 added continuous audio connection to help with this. The name sounds boring, but the feature is useful. It keeps the audio connection active, so your system does not need to keep changing the sound format again and again. In simple words, less popping, less audio drops, less delay, and more stable sound. You can find it in Settings, Video and Audio Format, HDMI output. Apple did not make this feature easy to find, but for home theater users, it is a very useful fix. Now let's talk about the design. Liquid glass. Apple added this new design style across iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV. On Apple TV, it makes menus, volume controls, overlays, and control center look cleaner and more modern. The screen feels more smooth and more premium. Menus now look more transparent and layered. They also feel better when they appear over a movie or show. The Apple TV app also looks better because posters look bigger and more cinematic. But there is a catch. Liquid glass does not work on every Apple TV. You need Apple TV 4K second generation or newer. So if you have an older Apple TV, you may install the update but still not see the new design. This shows the bigger issue. Apple TV software is moving forward, but older hardware is starting to fall behind. Now here is one fun update. Your iPhone can now become a karaoke microphone for Apple TV. With Apple Music Sing, you can play a song on Apple TV, sing into your iPhone, and hear your voice through the TV speakers. You can also add reverb. Friends can join with their phones. They can cue songs. They can react with emoji on the screen. This turns Apple TV into a simple karaoke setup. It is not something everyone will use every day, but for a family night, birthday party, or small gathering, it can be a fun feature. The limitation is this: you need Apple TV 4K third generation and iPhone 11 or later. So again, some of the best features need newer hardware. Profiles also became better. This sounds simple, but it is useful if more than one person uses the same Apple TV. Before tvOS 26, switching profiles was not very smooth. Now Apple TV can show the profile screen every time it wakes up. Each person can open their own profile, their own watch list, their own recommendations, their own Apple Music, their own viewing history. This helps keep everyone's content separate. tvOS 26.2 made profiles even better. You can now create profiles without an Apple account. This means guest profiles, kids profiles, or temporary profiles are easier to make. No email needed. No family sharing needed. No extra setup. Just create the profile and use it. But there is still one problem. Many third-party apps still use their own profile systems. Netflix has its own profiles. Disney Plus has its own profiles. Other apps may work differently. So Apple improved profiles, but the full app experience is still not perfect. Now let's talk about AirPlay speakers. tvOS 26 lets you set AirPlay 2 speakers as permanent audio output. This means you are not limited to HomePods. You can use supported Sonos speakers, Denon systems, AirPlay 2 soundbars, and other compatible speakers. Before this, Apple TV could sometimes switch back to TV speakers. That was annoying if you already had a better speaker setup. Now your selected AirPlay 2 speaker can stay connected more reliably. HomePods still work the best because Apple gives its own products the smoothest experience. But this update is still useful for people who use other speaker brands. FaceTime also got some useful changes. Call notifications can now appear on the TV screen. So if someone calls while you are watching something, you can see the call on the big screen. You can answer through HomePods, or you can pick up the call on your iPhone. Contact posters also appear on Apple TV. This means you can see the caller's photo and name clearly on the screen. Live captions also expanded to more languages, including French, German, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, and Spanish. This is useful for families, older users, and homes where people speak different languages. It makes Apple TV feel more connected to daily life. Apple also removed old iTunes apps. The separate iTunes Movies and iTunes TV shows apps are gone. This was needed. Those apps were mostly useless because they already redirected users to the Apple TV app. Now everything is in one place. Cleaner, simpler, less confusing, but there was one warning. If you had an old iTunes wish list, you needed to move those items to your watch list before updating. If you updated first, those items could disappear. Apple warned users by email, but many people may have missed it. Screensavers also improved. Apple added new aerial screensavers from India, including beautiful places like Goa and Kerala. They look great on a 4K screen. But the better change is control. You can now choose which aerial screensavers appear. You can also remove the ones you do not want to see. This sounds small, but it is useful. If your Apple TV keeps showing the same clips again and again, now you can control it. So what does all this mean? tvOS 26.5 alone is not a huge update, but the full tvOS 26 cycle is more useful than it looks. Apple improved content discovery with Genius Browse. It improved audio with continuous audio connection. It refreshed the design with liquid glass. It added karaoke through iPhone. It improved profiles. It made AirPlay 2 speakers more useful. It improved FaceTime. It removed old iTunes apps. And it gave users more control over screensavers. But Apple TV still has problems. Netflix is still not fully inside the Apple TV app. Third-party profiles are still not smooth. Siri still needs to become smarter. Apple Intelligence has not fully arrived on Apple TV, and the hardware has not received a major refresh in a long time. This is why tvOS 27 matters. And this is why the next Apple TV 4K matters even more. If Apple brings a faster chip, smarter Siri, real AI features, and new hardware, Apple TV could finally feel like a major living room upgrade again. Not just a streaming box. Not just an Apple TV Plus device, but a proper smart entertainment hub. Right now, the software is clearly improving. The experience is cleaner, the features are more useful, and Apple TV feels more connected to the home. But the hardware needs to catch up. If Apple gets tvOS 27 and the next Apple TV 4K right, this small black box could finally feel new again.